Please take your seats. School is now in session.
Welcome to Homeschooled Podcast.
Homeschool.
The Homeschool Podcast. Why? Because he was homeschooled.
It's time to document the journey.
I smoke them in my hotel room all the time.
Absolutely.
Like, they go like, you want a smoking room? I'm like, nope.
Why would I? I'm vaping. I'm not smoking. I'm vaping.
Yeah. No one knows. Like, no one's gonna know. The only thing I do is I make sure not to throw it out in there because I don't want them to know I was vaping in there.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, I always think you're too careful about it, dude. I've left a vape straight in a hotel room. It's like, what are you gonna do? What's the evidence? You gonna say I smoked in there? No, I didn't.
Yeah, they get paid like $13 an hour.
Yeah.
Which
they're
I think
probably also smoking them in those rooms.
Yeah, they're probably smoking while they're cleaning. You should leave it for them.
Yeah. If you're making $13 an hour, I hope you have nicotine to level you out, you know?
I know a bunch of comics that would just leave weed for the cleaning ladies in the hotel room.
Holy shit.
They probably really appreciate that shit.
That's probably a baller ass. That's like such a baller move too.
Yeah. Like, I know Joey would do that all the time. He would tell me, like, because I remember, dude, touring with Joey Diaz. By the way, I just hit record because we already started talking shit, but I'll do the proper intro in a second. But, yeah, dude, touring with Joey Diaz was crazy because people would just give you shit in terms of weed, mostly.
Yeah.
I've been offered all kinds of different drugs, but I would say predominantly marijuana, in all forms. Oil, hash, vape, actual weed, edibles, joints. Just bring you, like, for you and for him, like, your own separate goodie bags. And it's insane. And I'm not a big weed guy.
Okay.
I will smoke it on occasion, like, not before shows.
Just don't like it? Not your thing?
It's just not my thing. It's not my vice, I don't necessarily get very high from it. I go from nothing to nauseous. You know what I mean? Like, there's no
great name for a special.
Nothing to nauseous. That's what weed does to me. Like, I don't get to enjoy that middle part of just like a nice high.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not my thing. I will smoke it if I'm not performing, or my show's done.
Yeah.
And I'm just chilling with comics. It's more for the social thing of just smoking with people,
Yeah, that's the best part. I mean, but if you were doing shows with Joey Diaz, you had to have, there had to have been nights where you got way higher than you thought, right? You were going to get?
I would just throw up. I would feel nothing, and then all of a sudden, I got to throw up. And I remember, like, driving home and having to pull over to vomit.
Damn, dude, that does suck. Honestly, if that was my case, I don't think I'd smoke weed either. It's just like,
yeah, that's what it does to me. Like, so you can't say to people, I don't smoke because it doesn't get me high, because then everyone's gonna be, well, you gotta try my shit. But it's like, no. I will get sick. Don't get me wrong. Like, I will smoke so much to the point where I'm sick, but I just don't. I don't get the good part of it.
Yeah, I don't get to have fun. There's a certain percentage of people that are, like, allergic to it.
Wow.
And so, like, that, maybe you're just allergic to pot, man.
Maybe, yeah, because I get really nauseous easily. I get motion sickness, and that's no fun at all. Like, I can't do cruise ships. Not that I want to be a cruise ship comic, like, at all. But I can't.
That is just awesome that you're like, I mean, I wouldn't want to anyways, but luckily I also just can't,
Yes. I've been offered cruise ship gigs, and I'm like, it's a great excuse.
Yes.
I get crazy motion sickness, and it's like my biggest fear to be stuck on a cruise ship and I'm just, like, throwing up the whole time.
Yeah.
So, but I also just don't want to do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, because, like, that sounds like a nightmare. I'm on a boat where more than likely I'm just out at sea bombing for who knows how long. And then for you, you'd be just like, okay, I don't know, who knows, but I just don't know how you can do well on those cruise ships. But, like, if you're bombing on the cruise ship and you're throwing up, nightmare.
It sounds like, I think the shortest ones are like 3 days, but typically they're like 8 to 10 days.
Jesus. Not for me, man.
The money's so good that it's tempting. That's the
Mhm.
thing. And like I could easily take those gigs and probably fall into that regular basis
Mhm.
and probably own a home by now. That's how
Yeah.
good the money is, dude. You're working like on a cruise ship twice a month. You're like a week at a time, but only twice a month, right?
Damn.
And you're probably making like anywhere between like 3 and 10 grand in that month.
Dude, it is sick because like I think and you earn every penny of that by having to do that shit, I bet. You know?
Yeah. yeah,
Damn.
yeah,
Damn.
100%. I don't want to fall into that. First of all, I think that's where comedy goes to die.
hmm
I don't think that that's necessarily a real stand-up. I'm not going to say you're not an artist, but I don't think it's real stand-up. And I think that in order to get booked again and again and get good at it, you're going to have to alter your set to be squeaky clean, family friendly. There's going to be kids in the crowd. You're going to write jokes about the ship. You're going to write jokes about like families that take cruise ships together, which is a weird ass family if you ask me.
Yeah.
Like you brought your kid on a cruise ship and then you decide to go to a comedy show and now I got to like stare at a 9-year-old while I'm trying to do fucking dick jokes. Yeah, so you're
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, you're gonna edit all of who you are as a performer out, and you're just gonna get so comfortable with the money that that's what's gonna happen. So that's what I want
It's
to do.
when comedy turns into magic. It's like it's when it's the same thing. It becomes too much of like a product that people are just like, and then there's the thing. And now we saw the thing. We saw stand up. We saw the trick be performed, and that's like cool and all for some people. But I like it better when it feels like stand up comedy, not magic. You know?
Yes, yeah, exactly. I don't know how to describe that feeling either. I mean, that's a pretty good way to put it. I felt that way when I did the Minneapolis Comedy Club in the Mall of America, which I love that club. I mean, I love playing all their clubs, but that one in particular, I'd say is my least favorite because it just feels like you're an attraction, and like it's a mall with rides and shit. There's like
dude, I've been to the Mall of America. That's like consumerism, like mecca, you know?
Yeah. It's like they were shopping, they're out with like their family, and then they just wandered into a comedy show, and you're just there like on stage for 40 minutes, like you might as well juggle.
Yeah, dude.
No, but I'm exaggerating. I mean, that club does a really good job. They're probably like the House of Comedies are like, in my opinion, like one of the best clubs in the country. They have
But it's a tough context for stand-up. It's not that no one's trying their hardest to make it there, but that's just a weird context to have stand-up in. I feel like stand-up, the context around stand-up is like arguably as important as the comedian. I
agree. Yeah, it's hard to force like comedy into these scenarios, which is like the last 2 times we worked together is kind of those scenarios.
Yeah, dude, when you're a Nebraska comic, you get so good at those scenarios.
I'm sure. So let's talk about that. Let me give you like a proper intro, by the way. I didn't
even
record on the audio. Video's recording. So let me go ahead and hit record on the audio. And welcome back to Homeschool Podcast. Benny P in the building.
Hello.
We just barely hit record on the audio, but we just started. We were having a pretty good little chat on shitting on cruise comics. No, I'm just kidding.
And if you do it, you're a sellouts, all of you.
So if you want to get that, you're only going to be able to get it on YouTube. So you got to go subscribe on YouTube and watch the whole video. But anyway, official audio podcast starts right now. My guest today is Benjamin Putz, a comic that him and I have worked together twice already. Each time I go back to Nebraska, I've gotten to have you open up the shows, which has been a pleasure. And it's always a pleasure hanging out with you. I enjoy your company. Really quick before we get into it, I want to plug my next dates. Guys, when this episode comes out, I'm already in your town, Boston, Massachusetts. All right, I got one show in Worcester on the 7th. It's October 7th, Friday. And then the next day, Saturday, October 8th, I am in Foxborough. So I'm actually performing at Patriots Place right outside Gillette Stadium. It's going to be rad. I'm pumped. So get your tickets. This is the week. It's the last opportunity to grab your tickets. And tickets are available at homeschooledpod.com or augustinocomedian.com. And then I just added to my calendar, I'm going to Vancouver, Washington, and that is going to be October 29th. It's the Saturday before Halloween. Vancouver, Washington. It's technically a suburb of Portland, Oregon, so everybody in that area, this is going to be the only time this year I'm in that area, so come out. And I just added that today. I just added that date. And then after that, I'm going to Memphis, Tennessee. I've got what the fuck day is that? Oh, it's December 3rd. Anyway, guys, go to the website, augustinocomedian.com, homeschooledpod.com. I hope to see you this weekend in Massachusetts. Ben.
Yes.
All right, dude. So yeah, we were just getting into, so we were talking about like cruise ships and the different places where you will find a comedy show, and we were saying how the environment that you put a comedian is as important as the comedian. And the last couple of times we did shows in Nebraska, we're doing breweries, which I think they go pretty well.
Yes.
It's not like your typical bar show. At least I try for it not to be.
No, it isn't. I would say, like, from the bar shows around here, it definitely, those shows that we did at the breweries feel a little bit different. Like we meet the level of the brewery, kind of meet them halfway kind of thing, like just giving them a tip of the hat. Like, we get this kind of feels weird in this open space, right? But let's all just come together right now.
Everybody tries to do a comedy show at a bar, which, like you said, I'm sure in Nebraska you get really good at doing those because it's pretty much like the only options.
Yeah.
But I try to take the comedy club to the bar as opposed to here's a comedy show while you're hanging out at our bar, which I feel like is a lot of bar shows. And then you've got guys that are just sitting at the bar, maybe they're loud, maybe they're chatty, and then I hate when a comic like gets mad at them.
Yes. You know? Yes.
They're always just like, oh, you're talking over my punchlines or saying something like that. It's just like, no, dude, you're talking over his fucking story. He came to the bar to get drunk after work with his buddy. He didn't know it was comedy night,
Yeah, and the people who get mad at that, what I want to say is there's a way to get those guys on your side. You can, not everyone, but there's a way if you know what you're doing to get the bar to give a fuck about you for a second, and maybe they'll come watch if you're just nice to them.
100%. Yeah, and if you're first of all, just ignore them and do your absolute best for entertaining people that are paying attention. Mm-hmm. And if you're funny, they're probably gonna say like, hey, let's go check these guys out. That guy was pretty funny. Let's go listen to actually give him a listen. And then if they don't, then they don't. Leave them be. They're having their conversation. Like, I'm sorry it's loud, but you decided to perform in a bar, and that's why you take bar shows to deal with that shit. Like, it builds thick skin. Yeah,
get a little bit of grit in your gristle,
100%, dude. Yeah, you know, bro. So, I just, by the way, like, I found that whenever that happens, I go up and say, like, to those people, I will go up and say, like, I'm sorry, you guys I say what I just said. Like, you guys just got off work. You wanted to have a drink, and you didn't know there was gonna be a comedy show. Like, don't mind me. Like, I feel like that wins them over more than anything.
Yes, just someone being like, I realize you're also annoyed. Because don't get me wrong, I'm also annoyed that they're talking as a comedian.
Yes.
But you just have to have the level of self-awareness to go, oh, no one forced me to do comedy. No one's forcing me to be here. I'm choosing to be in this situation.
Right, and I'm not mad at them, like, at all. Like, I mean, like you said, like, do I wish that you weren't talking? Yes.
Yes, of course.
I wish you were a little quieter and your whispering skills were a little better. But, like, if you had any type of self-awareness that, maybe I shouldn't yell, but, I can't get mad at you. Mm-hmm. Now, when you go to a comedy club, then you're in the wrong.
That's the best part when you're in a club. What's that like, dude, when you're in a club and you get to be like, no, I'm actually the boss here?
Well, I never really try to make anyone feel like shit. And I don't want anything to escalate to something bigger than it should be. Because I've seen comics like just attack on people the second they said anything. So I really do try to just quickly I think you can't really ignore it because that also ruins your show. If it was so obvious, if it was subtle, sometimes you could just pretend you didn't hear it. But sometimes if it's so obvious, you can't ignore it because that's weird.
Yeah.
So I try to just quickly go like boom, boom, shut them down, like fast, not in an insulting way, just a quick line.
Yeah.
And then if they keep doing it, then I'll start to get insulting. But yeah, but it is a great feeling when you're in control and you're in power. And if I think that you have a little bit more confidence to come up with that shit.
Yeah.
Because you know that any moment you can be like, get them out, and they'll throw them out. It's great.
You're like, I have my hand over the button, dude. This is just a matter of if we're gonna have fun or not getting there, you know?
Yeah. And I was in Canada and I had this lady that was sitting front row, and it was a packed theater. It was like 200 people. Honestly, it was like almost sold out. And this lady in the front row was just talking the whole time and just ruining the show. And I eventually like went pretty hard on her and said some pretty mean things about her and stuff. And she was so weird, dude. Like she would hear something that she agreed with and turn to me and be like, "Oh my God, you're so funny." And like go to like fist bump me. And then she would hear something that she didn't agree with, and she would literally turn her chair so her back was facing me, like just a child about it. And then when she got to be too much, I said some mean things, and we were in Canada, and I forget how it came up organically, but it was something about Canadians. And she's like, I'm like, I thought Canadians were supposed to be nice, and she's like, I am not. She's like, we are nice. I'm like, yeah. I go, I forget the exact line, but I said something like, but 1 out of 200 people in a comedy show is a bitch or something like that. And the crowd just went ape shit.
Isn't that the best moment? That to me is like when a comedian that's our rare like rock star moment. We get so few times where I think we get to feel as cool as rock stars. Yes. But when that happens, we get to be like, and I'm actually good at this.
Yes. And the crowd likes me more than they like you.
Yes.
Which I think audience members who decide to heckle don't realize that. They think that they're a part of team audience and you're a part of team stage.
Yes.
And then they think like if they yell something out, team audience is going to have your back. And it's like, no, bitch. Team audience has my back.
Yes. And that's why bar shows are important, so you can get used to when the audience doesn't have your back at all.
Yeah, but most of the time, like the audience if you're a good comic, the audience wants to hear the material that you prepared. And if someone keeps stepping on the punchlines or stepping on your performance in the wrong place, the audience is going to get frustrated too. And as soon as you like shut them down, the audience loves it. They love it. And then all of a sudden those people realize like, oh shit, there's 200 people that don't like me, and they get really embarrassed. So they'll either shut up or they'll get worse. Women tend to, I don't really mean to stereotype all women and shit on them, but women tend to not handle being embarrassed very well, and they won't get the hint to stop. They will actually get worse. They'll like, oh, you think I'm a bitch? Well, then I'm gonna own that shit. Like that's, you know,
I'm gonna live up to all the stereotypes right now.
100%. Like that's what they do. Or they'll just leave.
They'll just leave. I've had the run-ins where like they won't stop talking, and that is normally what I get from them. You know, like females normally are more likely to do that. But then I think on the flip side of that, I've had guys who are more likely to just be like, I'll just beat you up. Like I'll just kick your ass. Yeah. That might be more of a Nebraskan thing, but like that's been like the fun difference. Like, yeah, please keep talking. I'd much rather you ruin these 5 minutes than a dude coming up here and decking me in the face.
I've definitely had guys heckle, but usually when you make them look dumb, they shut up pretty quick.
Yes. I think Nebraska just has too big of a percentage of guys who are like, wait a second, now I got to defend my honor.
Yeah, man. I've had guys just yell random shit or just start, you know, because they're drunk. It's usually because they're drunk.
Yeah.
With women, it could be either one. It could be that they're drunk, or they could just be stone-faced sober, and they're just how they are.
Yeah. They don't know. They don't understand the social, like, I think there's moments they've gotten away with being able to just be upset, you know? Because I feel like if you get upset in most situations, you don't have someone who's professionally funny like yourself, you know, who's
Yeah.
gonna be able to make this look really bad for you. And so they
Yeah.
just, it's like they don't. Most people, even dudes who heckle, don't know what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah, man. And I hate how they're like, I just lost my train of thought. It'll come back. Anyway. Yeah, so I hate how they're like fucking just completely. I remember what I was gonna say. Sorry, never mind.
Mhm.
I hate when comics go too hard
Mm-hmm.
for no reason. Like somebody will say something that could have been handled better. Yes, they shouldn't be talking at a comedy show, but they'll go like, "You fucking cunt," like right away. You know, and
Yeah.
it's like, whoa, even the audience, that's where the audience isn't on your side anymore. When you were mean for no reason,
Mhm.
like it wasn't necessarily escalated yet, and you just went hard too soon, like I don't like to do that. So I do like to just hit them quick with like comebacks and then quickly go back to my set. I was doing that one time, and the girl kept saying something. Every 5 minutes, she would interrupt something, and I would keep boom, just insulting her, and the crowd just keeps going nuts. And then the table next to her goes in a helpful way, like, just stop talking, she says to her. And like, you know, he's not going to go after you at all if you just don't say anything.
Yeah.
And she took that as like an insult and started a fight with the table next to her. Like, yo, you want to go down, bitch? Like the manager of the club, who's an older guy, had to come over and like break him up. She pushes him down. Yeah, like it's just there's nightmare, like just garbage people like that.
Yeah. But it's also a good parallel to humanity, like you were saying with the audience, because most audiences, I think, will take the side of who's ever right. You know, there's situations that we all like know, like when someone's heckling and the comic's too mean, and they're like,
Yeah.
"No, we're not following with you." That's the correct response.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like
So
they
I think
just heckled. They didn't say like your mom's a piece of shit. They just heckled like something stupid. They yelled out something stupid, and you went next level.
Mhm.
You know, you got to save those for when they cross the line. Like
Yeah.
let them cross the line first.
Mhm.
Yeah, man. I've actually
Both
like
barrels.
am worried about. I actually did a podcast about this last week. I'm worried about hecklers are growing worse in the new generation of comedy that we have, because I've noticed that a lot of professional comedians, and this is what this is what it was about last week. My episode was about reels. Like stand-up
Mhm.
reels are everywhere. Like every comic has 1,000 stand-up reels, because you realize that that's a way to get views and people to see you. So
Yeah.
you have a bunch of comics who are not seasoned or too new, like the joke's not done yet, or they're not ready yet, and they're putting themselves out there too soon.
Me and my
So
friends send those to each other back and forth, being like, "I can't believe this joke is not ready to be anywhere," and they put it out.
And they're putting it out. Yeah, and then the other side of that is you have professional comics who are only releasing crowd work reels
Mhm.
because they don't want to burn their actual good material. So,
Yeah.
you know, when you go see them in person, they're like, "Oh, I heard this joke online already." So they're just posting their crowd work, which is like a lot of professional comics are really good at crowd work. They actually are funny videos.
Yeah.
But I think that it's training an audience, our next generation of audience, that it makes for a better show to heckle.
I can see that. I can see that, and I agree to some extent. But I also think that crowd work to the next generation, that I view that as almost like a new subgenre of comedy, almost like alt comedy, where like I think audiences are actually getting educated in learning how to find what they want. Because I think a lot of people who will go watch a crowd work show or a comic who does a lot of crowd work are not necessarily the same stand-up nerds that like I'm sure me and you were, where we watched every special and dissected jokes.
Yeah. No,
You
I
know?
think we definitely have a more educated audience than ever with stand-up.
Yes.
Thanks
Yes.
to YouTube, Rogan, and other social media. 100%. So yeah, when I say crowd work, like, you know, you have your Andrew Schultz guys, or Yeah, off the top of my head, I couldn't. What's the other guy? Big J.
Big J Okerson.
Big
Shout
J.
out Mike
Okerson.
Falzone. I have a pal, Mike Falzone. He does a whole show about crowd work, but he's out in
Just
LA.
really good
He
at crowd
does.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a couple of guys like that too, and like it is an art form of its own. It is a craft that is not easy to be good at, and I think that if you have that tool, it's great. If that's your act, that's your act, and then also you have this tool if you are a comic that sticks to your material, that you can go to crowd work if you have to. I think if you're good at it or how to handle hecklers, I think it's great. But specifically, like I'm not shitting on people that do crowd work at all, because I do think it's not easy, and I think that they're very, very good at it. It is an art form of its own. I am saying that like they're posting videos of handling hecklers, I should say.
Oh yeah, when I don't like when it's phrased the clip like bio or the caption is like heckler owned or like
Yeah.
heckler speaks up, immediately regrets it. It's like it's weird. It's almost like it's as cringy as like when Ben Shapiro would post like woke liberal pussy destroyed on campus. It's like that's
so funny.
It's funny, but like it's also just like nothing at the same time.
Yes. No, when I say it's funny, I'm saying it's funny that you brought it up.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, dude, like they'll post like those reels of them, and then it'll be subtitled. It'll be like the comics saying, and then it says like in a little smaller font, it'll be like audience member yelled out this, and then it's just boom, a brilliant comeback, and it shows you that you came up with it fast, and it was funny, and the crowd went nuts. Like it's a great video, it's a great reel, and it's funny. But if you have like an uneducated audience or the next generation of people who are going to attend live comedy, they'll think that's what comedy is.
Yeah.
Because they either have amateurs releasing jokes that aren't done yet, or they have professionals that know what they're doing that are releasing heckler videos. So they're going to show up and go like, oh, I saw this video of this comic that made it so funny when the audience yelled out, so I'm going to yell out. And maybe it's going to make the show good. Like I am concerned with that.
I might be a hopeless optimist, but especially as a comedian in Nebraska who's like, no one knows me, and like I don't have a stand-up career. I do this comedy thing because I love comedy. I just love it so much. And so I view that as a cool thing, because that means if those people come to my show or they come to a show and they see me in like just my local scene, that means I'm given the opportunity to educate that audience who already has an interest. They're there because they know they like something about stand-up because they saw it on TikTok or Reels. And now I get to be like, this is actually how it is. It's like, actually, if you talk during it, at first I'm going to be nice, but if you keep it up, I'm going to make fun of you and do the thing that you think is fun. But when you're the person being talked to, it's not going to feel the same way that you felt when you saw someone else get owned.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, you're looking at the glass half full.
Yeah. But I also see your point too, because I do think it will lead to an increase of people doing that.
Right.
I do think that is going to be the outcome, is people are going to come to shows feeling like being a part of it is kind of their job, you know?
You're hoping that people are going to see what it looks like to be embarrassed and owned by a comedian, and it'll discourage them to do it, which I think that's a great point, and I think and hope that you're right. I just don't have a lot of faith in the masses of being intelligent to pick up on that.
Yeah. And honestly, if it could all go to shit too, you know? It could. Who knows? I'm just here to fucking enjoy whatever's next.
I try to put like a stand-up reel out a week. And I don't want to overstay my welcome with too much stand-up reels. I feel like there's already too much out there. I don't want my whole feed to be that. So I'll do like one of something else, a podcast or cooking or my movie review show, and then one of them's a stand-up thing, and then the other one. So I just try to do like one a week and just not go overboard. And when I do, I haven't yet released any crowd work. When I actually do have a video of something, I said to myself, like, maybe I should release this, because this is actually kind of funny. I was doing a show, and this guy yells out, like, I forget why, but he yelled out, "You're dreaming right now," to me. Like, it wasn't a mean heckle. He was like responding to something I said on stage. And he said, "You're dreaming right now." And my response was like, if this is my dream, that's pretty fucking pathetic. And I said like, no offense to you guys are a great audience. I was like, but if this was my dream, I'd be at like the Wilbur right now with Seinfeld opening for me. You know what I mean?
Dude, I think I vote post it. I think that's
Post it?
awesome. Dude, because it's like, it's one of those rock star moments that like, it's one of those things where we can't stop the bad comics. Not bad. I shouldn't say that. That's a very negative way to say it. But the newer comics who are posting jokes that are just not ready to be posted yet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The
They're
flip
not
side of
bad,
that.
They're just not. They are not ready, or the bit's not ready, and they don't realize we're not trying to shit on you, or I'm trying to help you, because you're.
And they don't see the value of jokes that you shouldn't just be putting. Like if you have a joke that you're really proud of, if what you're getting out of that is an Instagram reel and that's it, you're not viewing it as more valuable than that. That's a little bit like maybe your perspective in stand-up is a little warped.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when I go to certain towns, like for example, the first time I went to Nebraska, I asked I forget who gave me your name originally, but
Walsh.
every comic, what's that?
Tyler Walsh did.
Oh, it
Tyler
was
Walsh
Tyler
with
Walsh.
the hookup.
Okay, yeah.
Shout out Tyler Walsh, also a great Nebraskan comic.
Him too. And somebody gave me his name.
Mm-hmm.
And before I'm actually reaching out to you guys, I am going online and seeing if I can find any videos, because I'm not going to just blindly give away spots if I don't think you can handle the work. And what these newer comics aren't realizing is that's what's happening with booking.
Yeah.
It's like, if I go to your page and I see you're an amateur, I can't give you a paid gig.
I've never thought about this, but that's so wild. That is.
Like, I know you want to go viral on TikTok, but like, I was about to offer you an MC job, and I can tell that someone can or can't MC. Like your energy, I'm not saying that you have to be high energy for me to book you, but I am saying like I can tell an amateur's energy.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And it's like I love NFL football. I don't know if you watch. Do you watch football at all?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. So like, have you ever heard football players talk about like when the game slows down?
I don't think so.
It basically is just this idea in professional sports that like you do this thing you're kind of so intensely, and at one point it's very hard and it's all there and it's chaotic and you might even be good at it, but you don't know why you're good at it. You're just an athlete and you're going through it. That's like the college. And then you get to the NFL level and they're like, the game actually slows down. You actually relax and see everything. Yeah, and I feel like it's similar with stand-up in that way too, where like these newer comics are starting, and even if maybe they are funny in their clips, maybe they have a clip where they are getting laughs, they don't realize that someone like you could watch that clip, and even though you hear that they're getting laughs, they're not getting the kind of laughs that an MC would get. They're not getting the type of laugh that a well-crafted joke is. It's more like they captured a moment where maybe they got lucky, you know?
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. Yeah, you can actually like see what's going on. It's like that Bill Burr bit when he said that they used to do coke back in the day, like the athletes used to do coke. And he's like, I see the ball coming right at him. Like I can see every stitch.
Yes. Exactly. That is exactly it. Yeah. But that's the world we live in, where people, people are realizing, I think more and more people are realizing that it's your own personal responsibility to like be self-aware and have a personality, and that's with the internet involved.
And I hope that people realize that whenever I say anything like this, I'm not shitting on you at all and saying that you're not a good comic or you should quit or not be a good artist. I never will just give you a bad review. I will give you a bad review with how to fix it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I am in any position to give anybody advice, but I do have nearly 14 years of experience and I've seen it a lot. And I am telling, like, it'll all be constructive criticism. Any criticism is going to be constructive. I'm not going to be like, dude, that's not funny. I'm going to be like, here's why, and here's how to fix it. Or like, bro, you're not funny. Don't post shit. Here's why you shouldn't post it. Because it's not ready and you're going to miss out on opportunities when somebody sees it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just trying to be helpful, and I hope that people take it to heart,
Well, the people who take it to heart are the people who want to do it, and the people who don't take it to heart are the people who want a hobby, and that might be a little blunt to say. I think both is beautiful. You know, it's like if
Yeah.
you want to treat stand-up comedy as like a fun hobby, the way some people do dance or rock wall climbing or anything like that, that's not why I'm in it. So let's not pretend like we're doing the same thing. But
Yeah.
if that's what you get out of it and that's enough for you, I'm
That's
so
great.
happy.
I'm glad you
Yeah.
found something that makes you happy, and if you can continue to do it, and if you're not particularly good at it and you still just want to put your videos out, that makes me look that much better.
Yes, yeah, exactly. it's also helping, yeah, in a weird way. Oh
yeah.
man,
How long have you been doing comedy, Ben?
I've been at it 3 years now.
3.
Yeah.
I'd say you're far along for where you are, because the first time I saw you, you were only at it 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, and I already watched you and said, like, this guy's gonna be fine. You know, like I felt confident having you do the opening spot.
Yeah. And I
Because-
love the opening spot, dude.
You do?
Yeah.
Most people hate it, bro. It's a hard spot. It's a fucking hard spot. Like, you give that spot to I'd say the person has the least amount of experience, right? Because that's how you grow up the ladder.
1 second. Can you say what you just said one more time?
Oh yeah, I was saying, like, they give that hosting spot, which essentially is a cold open spot.
Yeah.
They give that spot to usually the one who's the least experienced in the show. That's how you climb the ladder. Is you start hosting, and then you get bumped up to featuring, and then you get bumped up to headlining, and they do that as if emceeing is the easiest job. It's not. It's not. It is a very hard job. You're setting the tone for the show. You're setting the expectations of the audience. If you're an amateur and not good, the whole time the audience is thinking, is the whole show going to be like this? And then the next comic is going to have to pick up the pieces. And you only have like 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. And that's not a lot of time, because you got to do your material, but you can't just do your material. You got to like ease into the material. You got to like warm them up for you.
I mean, this is actually a great example of this. Is literally the show we did in Omaha. Like, my host set from not Omaha, I apologize, the Lincoln one we just did. Because like the host set for that, I started and I do a chunk of Christian material up top.
Yeah.
And 2 minutes into my Christian material, I realized this audience just does not want to hear any jokes about Christianity. Like, it wasn't even like some people laughed, some people didn't. It was a very much almost across the board, no one wants Christian material. And I'm thinking through my set while bombing to open up, I got to scrap the next 5 minutes of Christian jokes, because this could tank the whole show. So I just skipped right to another section of my set, got a bunch of laughs, and moved on. And it's like, that's what you have to do as a host. It's not your job to do like a set. It's your job to like get this night started.
Yeah, it's your job to warm them up, and it's very difficult to go out there cold into your material, because they're not even warmed up for you, and you're just doing your material. And I mean, that was a weird night, to be fair. Even by the time I got up, dude, they were still picking and choosing which things they wanted to hear. Like, there were subjects for me too that it's not even dirty. Like, there were just certain subjects they just didn't want to hear about. They were just like, next one, and then you would hit something that they liked, and they would just be like, oh yeah, and then all of a sudden nothing again.
Yeah, honest but fair.
That was one of those shows though where afterward you realize everyone had a way better time than you thought, because they just weren't big laughers. That might have been because, first of all, high ceilings, the laughs were going up and not at us. Also, it was well lit, so they can't hide from their laughter. You know, and everyone can see each other. And that's a huge part of comedy. People don't realize comedy clubs are dark, low ceilings, and people and packed. So some things will kill a comedy show when it's not packed and they're spread out, seated everywhere. If it's light and they can see each other's face, and high ceilings. So if they can see each other's face, that means that when you laugh, everyone can see what exactly you laughed at. And you're afraid to be the only person that laughed at it. So everyone's going to judge you and know the type of shit that you thought was funny, as opposed to like a dark room or a crowded room. Everyone just all kind of laughs in unison because no one's gonna know where it came from.
Yeah. At the end of the day, comedy is best in its most seediest form, you know? Like seedy, basement, dark, like that's the cool part of comedy is it's supposed to be like kind of like a secret we're all keeping, you know?
Yeah. Have you ever seen Zach Galifianakis' special live at the Purple Onion?
Yes. He plays piano to open that, right?
Yes.
Yes.
That's like, I love rooms like that. It's a basement in San Francisco that holds like maybe 80 people.
Oh.
I love rooms like that, dude. The Belly Room at the Comedy Store. By the way, I got to perform there. Not the Belly Room. I'm talking about the Purple Onion.
Yeah.
But it wasn't called the Purple Onion. It had gotten sold, and then the person who, I forget what it was called. It was called like Docs something, and it was like completely remodeled. But I got to actually headline that room, which was dope.
Dude, well, how are the laughs?
Great.
Chunky?
Low ceilings. It has to come right back at you. Those small, dark, like candles on the table. Dark, but with candles on the table. Like, that's comedy. That's what.
Yes.
That's how you do a comedy room, dude.
I
prefer if the entire audience was smoking. Like, like I don't want to see your faces. I just want to hear laughter coming from a cloud of smoke.
Yes, and that's why people need to start vaping inside. We got to get this movement going because if we can get people vaping inside, we could get that classic comedy vibe back, dude.
Totally, dude. I'm like just gonna start vaping on stage until someone tells me not to. You know, just total Chappelle style with a vape.
Dude, I okay, this is so niche and off topic, but you brought up Chappelle vaping.
Yeah.
But I credit Chappelle with why Juul became the like figurehead of vapes because he had a Juul in that one special. That was the first time I ever saw a Juul.
Oh,
a lot
did
of my
he?
friends saw a Juul. And it's never been credited to him until this podcast. So breaking news, I think Dave Chappelle.
I'll bet you, dude.
Yeah.
Because it is the leading name brand. I mean, everywhere you go. I mean, I traveled the country, and then sometimes I'll go to a gas station, I'll buy a vape, and they have different brands. Every state has a different brand, and everyone's like, that's the good one. But Juul is everywhere.
Juul is everywhere. Juul is everywhere, and it was like for old people, they don't even know that they're vapes. They think they're all Juuls.
Yeah, you guys smoking your Juul there, kiddies?
What's that? One of them Juuls you got in your hand there?
Yeah, whatever Gen Z or X says, I don't even know which one's which.
Oh man.
Yeah, dude, that's what I want. I want fucking smokers. I want a dark room, candlelight. Like, I would love to film a special like that.
Dude, I think. Oh, do you think that's kind of the direction specials are heading in? Because more and more people are self-releasing, and like, if you could capture a artistic set in one of those rooms, that would make for a beautiful special, both visually and audibly. You know?
I agree, absolutely. Yeah, I would love to do like a belly room special or a room like the Purple Onion, something like that. Like that would be ideal. Basements, dude. Basements. It's all about the basements. I love it. I'm doing in Vancouver. We're doing it's a basement, bro. I'm fucking pumped.
Dude. And if you ever come through Nebraska, I'll have to hook you up with there's a guy who runs shows out of basements in Omaha, a basement in Omaha.
I love it.
Hell yeah.
I recorded my special earlier this year in May, and it is like halfway done.
Congrats, man.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, I'm hoping the audio for the album is going to be out by Christmas, but the actual footage, the actual special is still in post. It's like about halfway, more than halfway done, I'd say, in terms of edit. And I did it at a brewery, but it was not a typical brewery, not like the ones where we do where, you know, they're fermenting beer right behind you or in the bar area. This place is like a huge compound. It's like a huge piece of property with different levels. So like you'll go into you'll walk in to their property and it's just a big outdoor patio. And then they have a building over here. That's a bar. Then they have like a warehouse over there that used to be a barn, or I think like a mechanic shop. That's where they make the beer. Then you go downstairs and there's an outdoor stage that they do like country music. And then you go back upstairs, go to the other side of the property, and there's a hall. with like a little stage, and it holds maybe 60, 70 people.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, dude. And I recorded it in there, and that was pretty cool. It looks like a barn that they turned into a hall. And
Yeah.
there's, like long table style, like a comedy club. And then there's some parts of the room that are couches, little coffee tables, and people. And I had cameras set up all over, like close up on people's tables of just chilling in a couch and drinking their beer and stuff. And the opening footage is like me just walking through the whole property to the stage and entering that room to the stage. It's daytime when I filmed it because it's like a 6 o'clock show and it was summer. It was still light out.
Yeah.
And then when I go on stage, there's windows like kind of to the side, and you can see it's light out. But by the time as the special goes, you see it keep getting darker and darker, which is pretty cool. I'm excited, man. I think that it's like what we're saying, like the future of specials. Like it's very independent. It's very, I mean, you've seen my set. Like it's very. I filmed it in Paso Robles, California, which is not Northern California, but kind of like mid. About 3 hours north for me, and it is wine country. So they make wine there, they make beer there, and it's a lot of like cowboys that make their own wine and shit.
Oh fuck yeah! That's
So-
a good combination.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. There's like all white people. There was like not that I did that on purpose or anything, but it's
Pick this.
white. Yeah. But it came out pretty great. It was a good set, and I'm
Hell
excited
yeah!
to see it. And I
Dude.
love things like that.
I mean you. So I guess this is more of a question because now, did you have an album before the special?
I have an album. Yes, it's not.
Okay.
My first album is called The Bad Guy. You can get it on anywhere: iTunes, Spotify.
So how is that different? Like recording wise, does it feel different between like when you recorded your first album versus the special?
It's so much more work to do a special, and obviously more expensive. You know, camera, crew, guys to edit, and all that stuff like that. But with audio, I only had to worry about, one external, like a Zoom recorder plugged into the soundboard, and then we had a couple of mics planted around in the room to pick up laughter. And that was all you had to worry about. And I remember preparing for it. I used a lot of cheat sheets. As I went to, do you know who Dov Davidoff is?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. In like the early millennium, he was like the biggest comic, like Comedy Central's boy. And I remember he recorded his special here in Southern California, and I got tickets to the taping. And I sat front row, and he did this theater called the El Portal in North Hollywood. And you can't tell, but there's like these, you know how sometimes theaters will have like these walls that go to like stairs to go up to the balcony?
Oh yeah.
So on the walls, he had these giant, like, I don't know what you call boards, like cardboards, and he had his set list like written on him on each side, and they were right there. And I remember, and he was filming, and I remember seeing that, and like the cameras weren't catching it, that he didn't want to forget his set list. So when I recorded my first audio album, I made small cardboards, and I actually put them up in the rafters of the comedy club. Like earlier in the day, I went up there with a ladder so that the audience didn't see that I was checking my set list.
Hell yeah.
And I wasn't worried about cameras because, it was only audio. And as long as the audience didn't know. But for the actual special taping, you're way more concerned about what the audience can see. And I did not have any cheat sheets. It was all up here. But I was also coming off of like a year of touring and doing that hour. So I've had it down.
Hell yeah.
So, so I would just say like you're with a special, you're definitely more focused on like, how is it going to look? And capturing the feel that you want, because you don't want to be like every other special.
Yeah.
Because it's like 1,000. I do want to capture something different, like we were talking about, intimacy, like cool little rooms like that, and that's more what I was focused on.
Yeah, I think it's like I think the cool part about specials moving this direction is it gives the comedian the like artistic freedom to be like, wait a second, now I want it to now also look the way I want it to look. Like the comedian actually has control over every process where before it was more like the comedian. I don't know. I guess just hearing comedians talk about like the HBO era, the Comedy Central era.
Comedy Central, yeah. Showtime.
It's like, yeah,
They
it's
own
like.
it.
They're working for a gatekeeper to give them the green light to buy their jokes. And now the comedian has the artistic ability and freedom to be like, also, I want to capture this thing about comedy that I love, not just the thing that this company thinks will make the most money, you know?
Yeah, nowadays you hear more that the comedian is involved with the post production. And in the room with editing or in the room. I don't know if every comic still does that, but I would say it's definitely more acceptable now. And I think that I think Louis C.K. kind of I don't want to say bridged us into that, but he edited everything himself. Yeah, he like self did everything.
And that's what Bill Burr does too, right? Bill Burr does it too now.
Bill Burr Bill Burr is connected with the streaming monster Netflix. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? So all his shit's on Netflix. So I'm not sure how much say or how involved
I just remember hearing in an interview that he edited his movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah. But yeah, I know Louis C.K. during that transition of like your Comedy Central HBO specials to the streaming monsters. Louis C.K. just started self-producing on his own website for like $5. You can just get his special, which I think he realized that he was a comics comic, and if he had 100,000 fans, he had 200,000 fans that were comics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he made his first million, I believe. I think he said he made $4 million by self-producing and just charging $5 for it, and he edited all of them. So I think that's a great tool. Is if you know how to edit things, and that's how podcasting helps you, and doing stand-up reels and learning how to edit and all that stuff. Like, it's definitely something to get good at. Even if you watch the show Louis, you'll see at the end that he directed it, wrote it, edited it. You know, you can see him. Thing. Yeah, in the post like credits and stuff like that, they would show him like in the ocean during that ocean scene. You know, with holding the camera, trying to get that shot. It's insane.
Yeah. Louis C.K. is truly, I think, the artistic juggernaut of comedy. Like he's moved the art form into the modern era as more than I think anyone has.
I agree. Yeah, and I think it's so important for comedians to learn as much of this stuff as you can on your own, because the phone doesn't ring. People don't help you, and if you're waiting on somebody to do it for you, it's never going to happen. And you gotta make it happen yourself.
That's literally my story. Is like when I just love doing comedy. So and I quickly realized, hey, I'm in Nebraska. I have to learn how to do all these parts myself. Like I'm never going to get management here, you know. So you got to learn how to do each of these things, 100%. Or you have to find someone who can, and it just opens the door to just collaborate with more and more artists.
100% agree. That's a good message, I think, to leave this episode on.
Hell yeah.
I just got a warning that my battery's about to die and I don't have my plug. So quickly before we get cut off here, Ben, thank you for being on. Where can people find you? You want them to find you on Instagram, or what's the deal?
Yes. You can find me on Instagram at Benny Putz, on Twitter at Benny_Putz. And those are probably the best places to go. And
you got any shows coming up?
I don't have any booked shows right now as far as ones that are like a set date, but every week on Tuesday, if any of the listeners happen to be in the Nebraska area, every Tuesday at Storm Cellar in Lincoln, Nebraska, I run a showcase down in the basement at Storm Cellar. We were just talking about basement rooms, so come catch out a comedy show.
Lincoln, Nebraska, hit them up. And guys, you can see me this weekend, Friday and Saturday, Massachusetts. I'm coming to Worcester October 7th. And then October 8th, I will be in Foxborough outside the Gillette Stadium at Wormtown Brewing. You can get your tickets at AugustinoComedian.com or homeschoolpod.com. Click on tour. And then And then you can see me in Vancouver, Washington, October 29th, the Saturday before Halloween. It's in a basement, too. It's going to be lit. That's how comedy's supposed to be. Let me show you how to do it.
Not on no goddamn cruise ships, okay? We're in basements.
Hell yeah. And that's it, everybody. Follow me on social media so you can see all the shit I post. A lot of content, stand-up, sketches, cooking, whatever the fuck you want, man. We got it over there. At Augustino Zoida across the board. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. We know you got a lot of options out there for podcasts, so it means the world to us. And I want to thank Ben Putz, Benny P, for stopping in today.
Sir.
Always a pleasure talking with you, dude. I enjoy your company. I think I had the most fun in Lincoln just because I was like done with my shows for the weekend and just having a drink with you and hang out with you.
Hell
I love
yeah.
hanging out with comics afterward when
Yes,
all the
dude.
stress is done, you know, and it was a good time, dude. Anytime anytime I come through, you know, you can always fucking open the show, and
Hell yeah.
we'll be in touch, dude. We'll be in touch. I'll get some more shit for you.
Absolutely, man. Good luck on your shows. Thanks for having me on those shows and having me on the podcast, man. It's a blast. Go catch a show from Augustino, guys. I've seen The Hour. It's good. It's funny. So
Thanks,
go
man.
check it out, man.
I appreciate you, dude. I'll see you
Hell
later.
Homeschool Podcast. Homeschool.
The homeschool podcast. Why? Because he was homeschooled.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I don't want to do that at all.